Nasty. Nasty.
Yeah. They were called Nasties, and they were nasty.
Some of the things that we've seen are so horrific.
These films not only affect young people, but I believe they affect adults as well.
An extravaganza of gory violence capable of depraving and corrupting those who watched it.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't. I actually don't need to see what I know is in that film.
Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Doing the Nasty podcast. This is season number 2, episode 22. I am one of your hosts, Duncan McLeish. Welcome. Hopefully you are you're still enjoying embarking on this catalogue of misery that is the list of movies in season 2. Joining me, as always, my resident guest host on season 2, a man who has had a rough week and a bit, so I'm going to go easy on him. Not in the movies are what they are, but I will go easy on him. It is, of course, Mark Ball. How you doing, buddy?
I am here. I'm alive. We had to bump this recording by about a week because the last Sunday was like about 2 days after I found out that I'd been diagnosed with COVID. So it's super weird. I remember like texting you guys or texting somebody and being like, I'm pretty sure I have like the worst fucking stomach flu that I've ever had in my entire life. And I was just like on my ass for fucking 2 days, basically, just in bed sweating and fucking not keeping food down and just feeling like totally fucking awful. And then that Friday I was ready, like I'd taken fucking 2 sick days off work. So I'm like, oh God, they're going to be fucking pissed. I've like been out for 2 days and I'm sure they're super busy. And I called my office manager and was like, I'm ready to come back to work. What do you need? She's like, I think it's probably a good idea if you go to like urgent care and go get fucking checked out, make sure you're not contagious for anything. And I still at that point thought that I had like food poisoning or like the stomach flu or something. And my office manager was like, you can't spread food poisoning to us, but if you got the flu or something, you definitely can. So go get checked out. And I did, and yeah, they literally only checked me for fucking COVID, and 2 nurses come in looking like extras from The Crazies, just fucking totally suited up, and are like, so, you tested positive for COVID? And I'm like, oh no. So I've been out of work for 2 days. I have left the house like 2 or 3 times. Yeah. Go get like groceries or go deposit some money in my bank account to pay bills and shit. It's been fucking awful, I will say. And I'm vaccinated, obviously. But yeah, we got a little careless a couple weekends ago and went to the movies, went out to dinner, and then went to a dive bar all in the same fucking day. And almost all of us ended up getting fucking COVID that were in like this like little group. Yeah. Don't be fucking dumb out there. Even if you're vaccinated, you can still totally get it. Thankfully, I was vaccinated. Otherwise, like I have very little doubt that I may have ended up in the fucking hospital over this shit. Yeah. Because it's pretty fucking gnarly. It comes and goes in waves. Like I'll be feeling better for like a day or two, and then I'll just be like, oh, I have no fucking energy and I feel like absolute dog shit. And so I've had people tell me, they're like, you might be dealing with these symptoms for like months to come. It might not ever fully go away. And I'm just like, cool, that's fucking rad. So that's been the funness I've been dealing with the last 2 weeks. I was really like, once I got my diagnosis, like there was a small part of me that was like, oh fuck, I've got like a week and a half of work off. I'm gonna get so much done. I'm gonna watch a bunch of movies. I'm gonna do all this. Didn't fucking do any of that. I watched a few things. I recorded a show with Darren a couple nights ago. That was a lot of fun to do. It was the second episode of our comic book movie show, and we did The Crow. Nice. So I watched the first two Crow movies. I didn't realize until we started looking at this that there's 4 of those fucking things.
Yeah, Darren seems to, like, any conversation I have with him results in me finding out that there is a sea of movies that I wasn't aware of.
he told me a little bit about his, he's doing the Russian roulette for Children of the Corn over on your show.
Yeah. So I recorded with him yesterday. So he came on to do Children of the Corn 666 because that's the name of that movie. Isaac's Return. And whilst we were looking at that, he mentioned about the cast list, because the cast lists of the Children of the Corn movies, particularly the 90s, are weird as fuck. It's all like first performances of like now huge A-list actors. Like part 5 has Charlize Theron, part 4 has Naomi Watts. You know, like just like insane fucking casting in these small bit parts. But he mentioned Eva Mendes and David Carradine is in one, and I was like, fuck off. Like jumped on the internet, and sure enough, they're in part 5. And then from that led me down this like weird path of finding out there are 3 Cruel Intention movies.
I knew there was 2. I didn't realize there was a third one.
Didn't know there was a second one.
It gets sticky when, there's so many of them that are direct to video, which, like with The Crow, I don't think any of the 3 sequels played in theaters.
Oh, God, no.
The second one might have, but it would have been like a real underhanded toss to a theatrical, and then they're like, right to fucking VOD and direct to video, and people are going to rent it just because they recognize the fucking name from the first one. And Crow City of Angels fucking sucks.
It's not a good movie. Yeah, it's not a good
It's
movie.
not a good movie. And they definitely spent some money on it. Like, you can tell that's one where the budgets go way, way down the further they go. And by the 4th one that's got Edward Furlong as the Crow, they spent like, their budget was $20 and a bag of cocaine for Edward Furlong, I think. So, that first one still fucking slaps, man. That movie's fucking so goddamn good. And I did a lot of research about the comic book, and there's some pretty interesting stories about the original run of the comics, and James O'Barr wrote those in response to his fiance at the time. He was like 18 when he wrote that book. He wrote it and drew it by himself, and his fiance was killed by a drunk driver, so that's kind of a response to it. And he said it wasn't cathartic at all. He didn't feel better writing that shit like he'd hoped he would. But that should be coming to the Legion Patreon here pretty soon. We just recorded that a couple nights ago. But other than that, man, I haven't really watched a lot. I finally got around and sat down and watched Seven Samurai at some point, because I got at least four hours to fucking kill. So
is that your first viewing of that?
I have attempted to watch it once or twice, and I usually end up falling asleep because it's like one of those, like, I'm drunk, I'm gonna watch Seven Samurai, or I'm playing some Ghost of Tsushima, and I'll throw that on afterwards. I've never made it all the way through, but so that was my first time taking it all in, and goddamn, that movie's a fucking masterpiece.
That's Kurosawa, though. That's, I mean, like, I literally wrote the book on, like, you can chart some of the best filmmakers in the world operating right now back to their love of Kurosawa. So I mean,
you can definitely see it's mind-blowing that came out in the 50s, just because the filmmaking is so fucking like refined, and there's like so many like his composition is incredible, especially in a movie like Seven Samurai that has a gigantic fucking cast, and there's often times where there's anywhere between 6 people and like 60 on fucking screen, all doing things at the same time, and you can see all of it real clearly. There's no like the focus is never muddy. It's all fucking crisp and clear. And the dude was just that fucking powerhouse of a fucking director. And it's not wide. That's my one thing. I kind of wish Seven Samurai was in widescreen, or at least the version that I watched. It's in 4:3, but that almost makes it like a challenge to Kurosawa. He's like, how do I fit all this shit in this itty bitty little fucking frame? And he pulls it off incredibly. So I think that's about all I've watched since I've been sick. I mostly lay around and watch trashy YouTube garbage and dick around on my phone for hours on end. And
masturbate furiously. That's what you do when you're off work sick. You masturbate furiously.
At least twice a day. That's how you get the COVID out. You gotta ejaculate it out.
I just want to stress that Doing the Nasty podcast is not a medical podcast, so if you have COVID, please go and seek some assistance somewhere from a medical professional and just don't sit at home masturbating furiously.
Yeah, that's not going to get you better.
I'll make you feel better for a second.
Yeah.
But it will also make you out of breath, which is what COVID does as well. So just watch what you're doing.
Yep.
On this episode, we're finally getting to Inseminoid, which I'm so fucking excited for. But we're also pairing it up with a little Italian number. We're going to be doing, depending on what version you have seen, the American title for this one is Hunter of the Apocalypse. The Italian title I can't pronounce. Its appearance on the Nasty list is under The Last Hunter. And yeah, we're going to be doing that. That's by Antonio Margheriti, who had done Cannibal Apocalypse, which we spoke about briefly on the previous episode, a movie that was on I want to say it was the tier 2 list, Video Nasty list, that has John Saxon in it, and it was a kind of post-war sort of movie. I had never seen this before, watched this and I was like, that this one's also a war movie, so I'm starting to see a theme here in Margheriti's work. So yeah, we're going to be doing those two movies here. We're going to start with The Last Hunter as a kind of setup, and to do that we're going to do what we always do in these episodes. We're going to take a very short break. You're going to hear people from the Video Nasties documentary give you a little intro into this one, and then when we return, God knows who's going to do the intro for this one. I get a feeling Alan Jones. I always just go with Alan Jones whenever it's an Italian movie, but you can never tell. But yeah, one of them will give you the thoughts. You'll then hear the trailer. Myself and Mark will return after the first break, and we will give you the lowdown on The Last Hunter, coming right up right after this.
The Last Hunter, Antonio Margheriti's war exploiter, that actually is the horror fan's perfect war movie because it features so much gore, so much bloodshed. It's actually a really good movie. So David Warbeck is The Last Hunter. Actually, he was supposed to be The Deer Hunter 2, Il Cacciatore 2, but a rights issue meant they had to actually call it The Last Hunter. I mean, David Warbeck, of course, I'd known from Sergio Leone's Fistful of Dynamite. He had one of the best death scenes to one of Ennio Morricone's best scores ever. He was also, up for Bond at one point. He was the milk tray man. I mean, he was in so many sort of like movies of the early 70s, The Sex Thief. He was on TV with Hayley Mills. I didn't know him then. I only knew him because of his Italian exploitation career, which he loved, which he embraced. And he would come back and give me all the gossip about Margheriti, about Lenzi. I mean, I was agog with the stuff that he would tell me, and especially working on Trog with Joan Crawford, her chasing him around on that movie was one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. So many stories, so many I can't mention. I would love to, one day I will. But David Warbeck to me was the ultimate Italian movie star. This was the third in a contract deal that he'd done with his agent Giuseppe Peroni. David always used to tell me that Giuseppe Peroni would make him sign deals for like 3 films at a time. And this was the third of a package that included The Black Cat and The Beyond, the 2 Lucio Fulci movies he'd done. David loved his Italian exploitation career. He had so many stories about it. He really embraced it. And I think the fans really loved him for that. I mean, I actually watched The Last Hunter with him at the very first screening. And I'll always remember him turning to me halfway through and saying, "Oh my God, I run like a girl through that hail of bullets. I'm never going to run in a movie again." And he never did. Margheriti, he loved working with him. In fact, he worked with him twice again. I mean, Hunters of the Golden Cobra and The Ark of the Sun God. I've got so many stories about David. He was one of the loveliest people you could ever meet. He actually lived in a converted convent in Belsize Park. And I'll tell you, the parties, orgies, let's face it, and New Year's parties that he threw were, I think, some of the best I've ever been to. If you were invited to one of those, you were really part of the inner circle. It was filmed in the Philippines on actually some of the same locations as Apocalypse Now. David always told me that it was one of the hardest films he'd ever made. Very grueling, very hot, very difficult conditions. In fact, Riccardo Palatini, the cinematographer, died in a plane crash halfway through the film and had to be replaced. But really, I've got nothing but fond memories about this movie. I really like it. I think David's great in it, and he loved it. Apart from the scene where he's running through the hail of bullets, where he ran like a girl, but that really made me laugh. I miss him very much, and I miss David very much.
Listen, I've got a top priority mission, so you get this fucking thing down! I don't give a shit about top priority. Change your mind? No! Who's she?
I'm a foreign correspondent. My name is Jane Foster.
Watch where you put your feet now, honey. There's VCs under every rock. Abento! Gee! Where? Damn it, what are you shooting at? It's all over. We're never going to get the hell out of here. Never, ever.
We will. We have to. What is your bloody mission? Your mission? Fuck you!
You hate the VCs?
Don't have time to hate them. I kill them. I don't want to argue about it anymore. Don't want to think about it anymore, understand it anymore. Sometimes I think I don't want to live anymore.
Even Charlie knows you have a mission behind their lines. So what the fuck is it they've set you up to get yourself killed for?
Who are you? How long you been here? Huh?
It doesn't matter anymore.
Why'd you get chewed up like that?
Them.
Huh?
Them, they come in here by the hundreds.
Jesus Christ. Get out of here. Yeah.
It's very difficult. Especially when I watch Steve blow his brains out because you went and ditched him for your cause. But I'm here because they gave me an order and because I obey when I get issued orders.
You're a lying son of a bitch.
Come on, you must have known it would come to that. If you feel on trial, I can't help
And welcome back. So, you just heard the trailer for Hunter of the Apocalypse, aka The Last Hunter, directed by Antonio Margheriti, based on the story by Gianfranco, you have a surname that is too long, and Dardano Sarcetti, who literally is involved with, Sarcetti's kind of writing credits are amongst some of the best genre movies ever made, including things like The Beyond. So, busy guy. I think he did I think he may have done all three of those Fulci Gates of Hell movies, wrote them. So, yeah, incredibly talented guy, worked with Argento Bava. Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. The movie is cast fucking strange. We have David Warbeck, who acclaimed like kind of genre actor who also worked with Fulci. Tisa Farrow, who is sister of Mia Farrow. We've got Tony King, Bobby Rhodes. Holy shit, she's a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine. We've got Margie Newton, John Steiner, Massimo Vanni, Luciano Pigozzi, Dino Conti, and Gianfranco Morini. Synopsis for this one isn't listed on IMDb. Is during the Vietnam War, an American soldier gets trapped behind enemy lines. A squad of his buddies set out to rescue him. So I know what you're thinking. Saving Private Ryan. Well, no, it's not that. Not that at all. So I was doing a bit of a deep dive on this one to get some information on it because, truth be told, I actually enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I was gonna. It's just an action movie. Really,
right?
It's not even. It's an action exploitation movie. Which, I mean, the fact that its American title is Hunter of the Apocalypse kind of makes sense because this is giving off heavy shades of Apocalypse Now.
Yep.
Both shot in the Philippines, using similar locations. There's like one or two compositional shots where I was like, is that exactly the same forest? Because it might
probably.
Yeah, but originally, according to what I could dig up on this movie, originally this was actually pitched as a kind of quasi sequel to Deer Hunter. So it was going to be released as the Deer Hunter 2.
That's wild. They're gonna pull a like how Zombie is the sequel to the Italian sequel to Dawn of the Dead, basically.
Yeah, or the Night Train Murders, which was named Last House on the Left Part 2. even though like the majority of the murder happens on a train. But anyway, that's by the by. So I didn't know what to expect from this one. I told you before, I enjoyed Cannibal Apocalypse. I find that like a very fun, trashy exploitation movie with what was at the time a very drunk John Saxon. He can't remember making that movie. Like on the streets of New York, fighting off creatures, and the big problem, and one of the biggest reasons it ended up on the nasty list in the category above this one is there was animal death in it. Like murdered a lot of rats on screen.
Right.
So yeah, that like kind of pivoted that way. In the case of this one, I mean, it does have some like questionable content for sure. There's a pretty gnarly attempted rape in this movie, which made me very uncomfortable to watch. But first and foremost in this one, it's like this is the sort of movie that weirdly you could just sit and watch, you shove on, and you just kind of almost in awe of how bonkers the action is. Like Margheriti, like whether you like him or you don't like him, is a surprisingly good director to be making this sort of schlocky shit. Its biggest issue for me, I think, overall, was that it is just too much of a clone of other things that are a lot better made, and just infinite classics. Like the balls on anyone to try and ebb Apocalypse Now. There have been so many filmmakers that have tried that, but there's only one Francis Ford Coppola, and there's a reason that movie is kind of lasted the test of time. I found that the action sequence is so very, very well shot in this. Dialogue's a bit, in fact, some of the dubbing isn't great. And I love the fact that they've just completely redubbed David Warbeck, who is, I think he's Australian. He's either Australian or he's from New Zealand. And he has a thick accent. So when he did any of these Italian movies, they almost instantly overdubbed him with someone of a more kind of English or American persuasion, like very, very, very quickly. Can't have this Aussie on our movie. But yeah, this moved in at pace for me. I don't necessarily think it's anything that's of the kind of highest caliber of cinema by any stretch of the imagination. But if you want to sit down and watch a trashy war movie, this is kind of what you should be aiming for. Like I was surprised like how little fuckery there is in this movie. Like genuinely, when you watch one of these Italian rip-offs, it's like, well, you know, we're gonna do Apocalypse Now, but we have to have a robot in it, like, and aliens that that you know, like, enter the body through the ass. Like they take, you know what I mean? They genuinely will take 3 or 4 different big movies of that year and put them in a blender, and that's what you get on screen. So it's like a bit of this, a bit of that. This one doesn't have that fuckery. If anything, it's exactly what it's advertised as. This is a rescue mission in Vietnam movie. You know what I mean? This could, it's 2 steps away from being like a Rambo 3, but without the cheese. It's, you know, it's very, very like brass tacks, very basic movie, and it delivers on the action set pieces. Like I say, it doesn't forget that it is still an Italian exploitation movie, so you still get scenes that are a bit cringy to watch on screen. And yeah, from just doing a bit of reading in the background of this one, seems like the whole shoot of this was just fucking miserable.
Oh yeah,
because they were all trapped in, very much like Apocalypse Now, they were all trapped in the Philippines. Yeah, just like a miserable fucking experience, because you're shooting on surfaces that are not designed to shoot action movies on. So people were getting injured regularly, and you know, attacked by animals, like just horrible conditions. But overall, I mean, I kind of come in this one a bit skeptical. I don't generally like war movies. I fucking avoid watching them. I will. But this is, like I say, the right amount of trash for me to sit and say that if this was released on a Blu-ray in this country, which it hasn't been, I believe Code Red put it out in the States, which means it's probably out of print now, because Code Red never keeps anything around for long. If this got released by one of the, you know, the labels over here, I would totally buy this. You know, I would have it in my collection for sure, and I probably would revisit it, because it has something about it that I found myself enjoying, even though, like I say, it's not anything you haven't seen done 100 times better by other filmmakers in the West. So what was your feelings on the Last Hunter, Mark? What did you think?
So I was kind of in the same boat. I really had no idea what to expect out of this. I didn't know it was Italian. I didn't know it was a war movie. I didn't know anything about this going into it. And you do realize very quickly that this is a send up of stuff like the Deer Hunter, and I would call this Spaghetti Platoon. Is what this reminded me of, and I had a lot of fun with this. You kind of hit the nail on the head. This is very enjoyable trash. I mean, they had a lot more, I think, at their disposal, like, than a lot of trashy Italian movies that come off as very cheap. This one, they clearly had a budget for like guns and explosions and lots of extras dying and makeup effects that are super gross and like kind of on par with some Fulci stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. There's not really much to this. It's pretty straightforward and has been done a zillion times in other movies that are way fucking better. And I'm kind of the same way. I don't particularly seek out war movies all that often, but like I said, this has just enough of that goofy Italian fucking cheese and craziness that it's pretty fucking entertaining. It made me want to go back and watch. There's a documentary came out within the last 10 years or so. I forget what it's called, but it's all about filming movies in the Philippines.
Oh, wow.
During the late 70s and early 80s. You know what I'm talking about? It's called like
I've never seen it. I know the one you're on about though.
Yeah, it's fucking wild, because a lot of especially stuff like this moved their film productions to the Philippines at the time, because it's super cheap to shoot down there, and you were free of any kind of like, you know, OSHA was nowhere to be seen. The film unions that would be like, you probably shouldn't do this, were nowhere around. So all the directors that were living dangerously went to go shoot their movies in the fucking Philippines, where life is cheap and you can just blow shit up and fuck things up. And it's kind of I mean, it's a drag for the people of the Philippines and like the environments that they fucking trashed. But it's good for the viewer, because we get some insane bonkers shit like this. But yeah, I dug this movie quite a bit. This is this kind of earns its place on at least, I think, the tier 3 video nasty list, because this is pretty fucking nasty. There's quite a bit of fucking gross, gory violence. There's at least one like really gnarly corpse makeup that's the helicopter pilot or whatever that falls out of the trees, very very Predator style. It's that effect I think is pretty spectacular and like super gross. And thankfully no real animal violence. There's like a little bit implied where the dude fights a snake, but it doesn't turn into Cannibal Holocaust where they like rip its fucking guts out and feed it to fucking...
Which is so surprising when you think this is 1980. So this is the year that Cannibal Holocaust came out. So
yeah, I don't know why, but in that department they showed some restraint on this one. There's some stuff with some rats too, which is like, I was expecting to get super fucking gross and gnarly, and it's a lot more implied than a lot of Italian stuff where they definitely would have showed like a rat, gnawing off a dude's fucking face. Like if Fulci had directed this, there definitely would have been a rat like pulling out a dude's eye in the bamboo cage, the fucking POWs or whatever. But this one doesn't really do that. I don't know. I don't really know why. I think maybe just budgetary reasons, or they, it might just be a pacing thing too. They didn't want to bog this thing down too much because we got to get to the next set piece where shit's blowing up and people are shooting flamethrowers at each other and shit. But this one definitely, like I said, at least on the tier 3 list, I think earns its place. It's full of violence. There's lots and lots of fucking racial slurs, which I mean is like fairly accurate, I think, to actual Vietnam. They referred to the Vietnamese in a certain way that's super unacceptable nowadays. But that attempted rape scene is goofy because we do get one female character. Well, there's two female characters in this movie, but the one played by Tia Farrow she's like a reporter that's down there, I don't know, I guess taking pictures of war and whatnot, and they come across a bunch of soldiers that are like holed up in a fucking cave out in the middle of the jungle that have not seen a woman in a very long time, and it gets real fucking gross and rapey there for a minute. But thankfully the sergeant or whatever, that's another thing, like it almost becomes a rape scene, but then like I don't know, I guess the director was just like, let's show a little bit of restraint, and we'll have the sergeant walk in and be like, what the fuck are you all doing? And then there's a super goofy scene like immediately after that where one of the dude's punishments is to go grab a coconut off of a tree. And it's really wacky and really weird and like kind of off-putting, like considering what had just happened in the previous scene. And it's like, what the fuck? This movie's a lot of trashy fun. I had a lot of fun with this. I watched this like 2 weeks ago and then threw it on in the background last night and rewatched it. It was like, this is something I kind of agree. This is something I probably would own on a Blu-ray if this Vinegar Syndrome or somebody like that put out. There is a really nice print of this on YouTube under the title The Last Hunter that I watched, and it's in English. And
I think that might be a rip of the Code Red. I think that's up there. Must be.
That wouldn't surprise me. And like the dubbing didn't really bother. Like as soon as I realized this was a fucking Italian movie, like the dubbing, like you kind of just go with it, and I think it kind of just adds to the layer of spaghetti of this fucking movie and just how fucking goofy it is. But yeah, overall, I had a lot of fun with this. This is good trashy fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both in agreement here. It's great to see David Warbeck doing stuff in and around this time period, because he would go on and do he's in the Beyond, isn't he? So within a year he's doing the Beyond after doing a movie like this. This is his small stint doing Italian stuff, and it's kind of cool. According to IMDb, the reason it ended up on that list is exactly what we thought it was. It received an X rating in the UK in 1981, so it did actually get rated. But in order to receive an 18 rating for the 1988 video release, 8 seconds were cut to edit some of the shots from the attempted rape scene. In 2002, all previous cuts were waived by the BBFC, but it's never been released properly in the UK for like a Blu-ray or anything like that. It would have been probably something like a VIP Cobalt Horrors or something that would have put out around 2002, and that's just after the repeal of the Nasties Act, where we started getting all these movies coming out on VHS at that point. So things like I Spit in Your Grave, Last House on the Left, and all that started to finally make their way through once they repealed the legislation. So yeah, I mean, I would say if you get a chance, Mark's right, it's on YouTube, seek it out. It's trashy fun. It's kind of bonkers. The effects surprisingly good. The direction surprisingly good. But I mean, it will remind you of, like we said, The Deer Hunter, which is a fucking masterpiece, or Apocalypse Now, which is a fucking masterpiece. It will remind you of those movies. And part of the charm of this one is it doesn't try and be as serious as those movies. So as a result, this one maybe has more revisit value, because you could shove this on at any time, like you say, with something and you're doing something, it's on in the background. You can't really do that with The Deer Hunter or Apocalypse Now. You kind of have to give it the respect and your time. Yeah, so we both liked this one, so let's see how we're coming with our grades. So on Doing the Nasty, if this is the first time you're listening, we have a unique way of grading movies, and we do it by criminal sentence that may be applied to someone watching this movie. So we have hard time, which is set aside for those movies that really are like just nasty pieces of work. We have a little bit of community service for those movies that kind of dare to be risque. We have the old slap on the wrists for movies that are getting a little bit edgy but not quite. And then we have the good old fashioned case dismissed, which is, yeah, there's nothing in this worth censoring it. I would probably give this one a bit of a slap on the wrist. I think the effects are gnarly enough, but it's clear that they have to be in a war movie. And the attempted rape scene runs in a way which makes me feel uncomfortable. But like you say, I would give credit to Margheriti in quite a lot of respects here, that there's the opportunity for animal violence, doesn't do it. There's the opportunity for a fucking horrific rape scene, doesn't do it. So I'll give him props for that, and I will say that it gives it a slap on the wrists. What about you, Mark? What are you giving it?
I'm kind of in the same boat. I was thinking about giving this some community service, because it does get pretty nasty, and like I think it earns its place on this list, like to a degree. But yeah, when I got thinking about it, I was like, no, you know, this movie actually, compared to some stuff that we've already watched for the tier 3 list, is fairly restrained in a lot of the areas that like really get under my skin with some of the other movies on this list, like especially, yeah, like you said, the animal violence and the rape, and this movie doesn't really do either of those. So yeah, I would give this a pretty light slap on the wrist. It's pretty gruesome and pretty gory and like fairly nasty, but compared to some of the other stuff on the list, this is I wouldn't call this tame, but it's a little bit more on the restrained side, yeah, for sure. So yeah, this would be a slap on the wrist for me.
Nice. Right, let's move to our second and final movie of this episode. Yeah, we're going to get down and dirty with Inseminoid by the late great Norman J. Warren. We will be revisiting more of his films on this list, so don't worry. There's plenty of Norman J. Warren to go around, but Inseminoid is the movie that we're doing, which is, according to the people that made it, not an Alien ripoff. So that's
really?
Yeah. Apparently it was being written and in pre-production when Alien was being made, so any similarities that you see are just purely similarities and in no way a direct ripoff of that movie. So there you go. Right, we're going to take a break anyway. You're going to hear someone talk about Norman J. Warren and Inseminoid. I get a feeling it's probably going to be a Kim Newman. This feels like a Kim Newman effort all over it. And yeah, when we return after the trailer, myself and Mark are talking about this goofy sci-fi horror movie right after this.
Well, who knew mini chainsaws would prominently feature in the future space programs? But here they are. They turn up in Norman J. Warren's Inseminoid, or Horror Planet as it was called in America. Produced by Richard Gordon. I mean, he'd given us masterpieces like Tower of Evil, Corridors of Blood, Horror Hospital. But this, well, let's be honest, conveyor belt Alien ripoff was made for £1 million and was shot in Chislehurst Caves. I know, because I was there. In fact, I was there when the power kept being drained because it was so cold. They had to keep shutting down. One of the reasons why I could actually talk to Stephanie Beacham and Judy Geeson, the 2 stars of it. I mean, Stephanie Beacham was obviously in it because she looked like, well, vaguely looked like Sigourney Weaver from Alien. And Judy Geeson, who I think gives an amazing performance in the movie, but she absolutely hated it. I mean, this was her last film before she sort of moved to America and sort of like then became famous in the sitcom Mad About You. It was written by Nick and Gloria Maley. Now, Nick Maley was a makeup man on Star Wars and Superman. He's the one who actually created the twin baby aliens that you see in this. I mean, it's gory, it's silly, it's quite good fun, I think, and for the budget, I think, as is always with Norman J. Warren's movies, he can really make something really look good. It was on the Brent Walker label. Brent Walker, big sort of like gambling consortium. I remember George Walker for a series of baked potato restaurants from the late 60s. But here he was, in the 80s, putting out Inseminoid. Allegedly on the Video Nasties list because a group of feminists complained about it. A pregnant woman apparently gone and seen it and passed out. I mean, what does that tell you? But I mean, you know, this is one of Norman's, you know, not one of his best, not one of his worst. But the only thing to say about this is if you're a pregnant woman, just don't watch it.
Far below the surface of a sub-zero planet, hidden in the freezing mists, something is watching. Something is waiting, breathing quietly in the dark, biding its time until the right human comes along. And then it will strike. Not just to kill, but to do something far, far worse. Soon she's going to be a mother. And there might not be anyone left alive to witness the event. Which will be a pity, because it promises to be a very, very unusual birth. Somewhere in the depths of space, a horrific nightmare is about to become a reality. Inseminoid, a far from human birth.
And welcome back, ladies and gents. You just heard the trailer for Inseminoid. This is directed by, like I say, the late great Norman G. Warren. We lost him, I want to say that was this year. I think he died right at the start of the year or very late last year. And it was just,
oh, really?
Yeah, it was just after we just finished doing the box set, the Bloody Terror box set that came out from Indicator. Myself and Derek Bourgeois had just finished doing that, and then he not long passed away after that. A kind of prolific figure in genre cinema in the UK because he made a lot of cheap and nasty movies. Yeah, this one here is based on the screenplay by Nick Maley and Gloria Maley, and I believe they may have also been responsible for the special effects. Robin Clark's in this one, Jennifer Ashley, Stephanie Beacham, Stephen Greaves, Barry Houghton, Rosalind Lloyd, Victoria Tennant, Trevor Thomas, Heather Wright, David Baxt, Dominic Jeffcott, John Siegel, Yeah, and then you've got Nick Maley, uncredited as Alien Babies, which is kind of funny, and Judy Gleason is in this movie as well, which is a trip to see her in that. Synopsis for this one is: a crew of interplanetary archaeologists is threatened when an alien creature impregnates one of the members, causing her to turn homicidal and murder them one by one. See, absolutely nothing like Alien. So
nope, not at all.
Let's drop those lawsuits, guys. We're all friends here. Interesting fact about this one, like, financed by the Shaw Brothers.
Really?
Yeah, this is
weird.
Technically a Shaw Brothers film.
That's fucking strange.
Yep, they managed to pony up about £1 million to make this movie, and I think almost all of that money must have went to the effects because it didn't go anywhere else. But yeah, another one that apparently miserable shoot. They shot this all in the Chislehurst Caves, which apparently is not a great setting to do movies because it was damp.
Oh, so those were real caves, huh? I was kind of thinking, I was like, these are pretty realistic, like foam walls that they're filming this fucking.
Nope.
In.
This is real caves that people fell in and injured themselves in.
Oh Christ!
A lot. But like some more facts that are kind of fun to go over. The script was written in 4 days because the director Norman J. Warden had, essentially financial backing. He'd sold this premise, this idea for this movie through the Shaw Brothers, but had no script. And then they were like, we need a script. So 4 days later, we had a script, which shows. The story was originally supposed to take place aboard a spaceship, like Alien. But they changed.
But that's expensive. Then you got to build sets.
Well, this is it. They had to change the location to avoid elaborate special effects, so that obviously was kind of removed out of the way, which made everything fine. And yeah, the Hong Kong Shaw Brothers agreed to provide half of the proposed $1 million budget and became partners in the production, with the elder brother Run Shaw credited in the opening titles as the film's presenter. So there we are. This movie's fucking nuts.
Yeah. It's one of the goofiest fucking things we've watched for this show, probably.
I love Goofy, and there's a part of me that watches a movie like this. It's kind of like the more tasteful version of this movie is something like Toby Hooper's Life Force, where it's a British science fiction movie, but it's just, science fiction horror movie, but it's just fucking all over the place. It's like clearly just all over the place, and on paper has such a grand and huge scope, which could just never be created with this filmmaker, this budget, and this cast. I mean, the kind of central idea of this one, and it's difficult not to liken it back to Alien every second, but the one here is that instead of John Hurt being kind of forcibly raped by a facehugger, and then giving birth to an alien, in the case of this one, it's a woman that is targeted this time, and she's forcibly impregnated by an alien, but instead of us having like an actual alien running about the place doing shit, we are also going to lean this into like a quasi-possession thing as well, and that's kind of what we have here. It's interesting seeing Judy Gleason here as he killer. She is the high watermark of this movie. She's kind of fucking amazing in this movie and pretty much carries the entire movie. And a prolific actress who had done fucking loads of shit and was still actively working. I'm just checking. Still actively working. Yeah, she has movies coming out this year. So
damn.
Yeah. So she even worked with Rob Zombie. That's right, and that movie 31, which no one should watch, as well as Lords of Salem. So you get a feeling that maybe Rob Zombie might be a fan of this movie.
That makes sense.
Yeah, kind of makes
this kind of sleaze.
Yes. Warden. I mean, he's a weird filmmaker. He's clearly talented. But at some point he just decided that he would make whatever he could make, as opposed to making necessarily the decisions that would direct things in a way which would make the movies better. And that's, I mean, for what it is, like, there are very few, like, we talked about Extra, right, recently. Extra comes out, if it's not this year, it's a year or two after Inseminoid, right? It's another British sci-fi horror movie, and it's fucking nuts as well. It's like there's something lost in the translation in the UK with filmmakers making this, because in America, you know, like the science fiction horror movies that you're getting are, like we said, things like Alien, or we're getting the The Thing, or we're getting, you know, on the fluffier side, something like E.T. or Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Like Hollywood knows how to make a sci-fi horror movie or a sci-fi movie with aliens. The UK doesn't quite know what it's doing, so as a result, it becomes an amalgam of kind of nonsense and sleaze, like, you know what I mean? And that's basically where Inseminoid exists. That's its bubble, that's its lane, so to speak, and it never really tries to deviate from it. I will say this, of all the movies that you will watch, because I've seen this before, obviously, but of all the movies that you will watch running through this tier 3 list, I guarantee you will never forget Inseminoid. The same way you never forget seeing Extra. That movie, once you've seen it, you like that stays with you afterwards in a way where you're just like that, and then this happens, and then a fucking clown appears, and a giant toy soldier, and a tiger for no reason at all. Well, puma. So yeah, I'd obviously seen it before, so I was ready. You know what I mean? I knew what I was getting, and it still kind of left me going, wow, at the end. But you had never seen this one before, Mark Ball, so the floor is yours. How did you get on with Inseminoid?
Oh boy, this movie is goofy as fucking hell. My huge beef with this movie kind of is that there's zero characterization in this movie. Yeah. I cannot fucking tell any of the cast apart. They're all super bland and generic, and you were reading off the cast list, and I was like, holy shit, there's like 3 times as many people in this movie as I had originally thought. But I guess part of that is because a lot of them get dispatched pretty fucking quickly. Like, they're you don't go more than like about 10 or 15 minutes once this thing starts going without like somebody being offed horribly in this fucking movie. The sets look. There's a tricky. There are ways of filming a location like a cave and making it look like a little bit more grand in scale than it actually is. I don't think they really succeed with that. I think the sets look kind of cheap in this, and I'm super shocked that these are real caves, because they very well could have pretty easily just been like painted plaster walls, and it looks like an old school Star Trek set kind of. I've watched this twice in preparation for recording for this. I kind of forgot the first go around. I don't know, I might have been like looking at my phone or something, but the scene where they ride the minecart like for a little bit, and there's like a chase scene, like fight scene on a minecart. I thought that was kind of cool, actually. That was Temple of Doom. I was gonna say it's slight shades of Indiana Jones for that scene, which I thought was kind of neat. It's really hard not to make the comparison to Alien, because this movie is so fucking Alien, but also it kind of becomes like kind of a slasher movie, like once our lead becomes impregnated with the alien, and she's just basically running around fucking killing these guys, and played a little bit of psychological warfare with them by trying to you know, she goes, that's the way, like you said, it's just kind of like this becomes a little bit of a possession movie because her character goes back and forth between being like this awful, scary fucking monster, but then like she'll start crying and be like, "Let me out! It's all good," you know. Which I think is kind of an interesting twist. This doesn't lean super hard into the alien stuff, and it really becomes kind of just like a bonkers fucking slasher horror movie towards the end with a female lead that, like, you know, she's got some implements of death. Like, you know, like they've got like the bolt gun or whatever that like she ends up like shooting a few dudes with, but a lot of the violence is very, you know, like hand to hand type stuff. Like she smashes one chick's fucking head against a counter. Very much that reminded me of like Crimson Peak or something, you know, like done a little bit cheaper, but yeah, there's some fucking gnarly violence in this kind of. And obviously like the alien impregnation scene is kind of the standout from this whole movie. It's very fucking trippy and psychedelic, kind of like she's just like floating on this table that's like seemingly made entirely of lights, and then there's just a black void all around her, and the camera does some pretty cool stuff where it's kind of like flipping around. It's very dreamlike, and the alien that we don't get like a real good look at except for like once or twice in the entire movie, I think is pretty cool looking. It's fairly unique. It looks like a big like praying mantis or something. Yeah. And it's shot very much in shadow. I'm sure it was a super cheap like effect to build, and they were wise enough to know to only use it very sparingly. But he looks pretty cool, and it's a super gross and icky and fucking weird scene. Which is kind of the, I mean, it's that scene is the poster, I'm sure. When he went to the Shaw Brothers or whatever, he probably had a name, and he probably had the poster, and they're like, all right, here's $500,000, go for it, dude. That sounds weird and fucking, I mean, I'm kind of shocked that, the Shaw Brothers, for those that don't know, I mean, they're like the godfathers of the Kung Fu movies of the like 60s and 70s kind of. So this is a bit of a departure from the stuff that they were usually putting out, which, I mean, maybe they're just looking to diversify their stuff that was not really in their catalog, because I don't think there's a Shaw Brothers logo that pops up at the beginning of this, but they probably saw that the Kung Fu stuff was kind of winding down and were looking for other, you know, cheap movies to kind of invest in that. And I'm sure this is something that probably in the States ran in the fucking the drive-through, the drive-ins and stuff like that. Like, I'm sure this movie made its money back pretty easily if it only cost about $1 million to make. Because how could you resist watching a movie called Inseminoid? Like, you know exactly what you're getting. You're getting an alien impregnation movie, which oddly now has become kind of a fetish amongst the weirder parts of the internet. Having an alien lay eggs in you is a thing. Overall, this I wish this movie was a little bit better in the respect that, like, I wish I knew anything or cared anything about any of the fucking characters in this. But if you can kind of get past that, like, I mean, that's not really what this movie is going for. This movie's just like it's another trashy exploitation movie with lots of gore and weird shit happening, and that's kind of, you go into it with that and you walk out of it with that. This was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, the copy of this that's floating around on YouTube is a pretty poor. Yeah. The picture quality fucking sucks. There is, I think, probably like closer to a Blu-ray quality version on Amazon that you can rent for $4 in the state. But the one I watched on YouTube doesn't look great. It's pretty muddy, and the picture that kind of added to not being able to tell the characters apart is that I couldn't see the fucking the picture quality is so bad that like they all kind of just look like pasty white people in jumpsuits. But it is out there, and it is definitely I'd say worth your time to at least check out the YouTube version. When you're in the mood, just throw out something trashy in the background. This is a pretty solid choice, I think.
Nice. Well, let's bring this down. And let's talk about grades. What would you give Inseminoid?
Oh, fuck. I'm leaning towards. I mean, it's weird to put this in a higher bracket of offensiveness than The Last Hunter because there's less blood in this. There is a fucking alien rape scene in this, which is pretty weird and icky. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards community service just because I think this goes pretty hard into violence. Like, there's a pretty gnarly scene where somebody chops their own foot off that was like, I don't know, 30 years before fucking Saw did it, and that was pretty gruesome. I guess when the chick is slamming the chick's head against the fucking counter, it's like, it's cheaply done, but it's implied and like kind of nasty. I'd lean kind of towards like some community service for this guy. This is one of the weirder, grosser, kind of more fucked up ones on the list, but you know, it doesn't have a lot of other stuff that you know, the animal violence and the misogyny is usually the stuff that I go real hard on if it pops up in these movies, and this obviously doesn't have any of that. So yeah, if you've got a pretty strong tolerance like we do, I think to just in, you know, general film violence kind of shit, this isn't super gnarly. You know, fuck it, I'd probably give this like a pretty strong slap on the wrist. I don't think this quite goes into community service territory.
Yeah, see, you circled, you talked yourself down to my grade. Yeah, I'm the same. This one, you know, is a slap on the wrist. It is, I mean, I'll stress this, it is totally fucking bonkers. So do not go in expecting, like, even the poster, don't go in expecting the poster. But I think, like, the Warren back catalogue, of which we're going to touch on another couple here, is like, all these movies feel very unique, and that is very difficult to do as a director that never really has a massive budget to pull off anything. And it does. This is one of these ones that you will remember watching, which I think is a huge credit, because there are a ton of Italian movies which came out about the same time, which are all completely alien rip-offs, and they are all interchangeable. You know, they all bleed into one, and Inseminoid does not. So yeah, this one is a slap on the wrist from this guy as well. We are going to take our final break, ladies and gents. When we return, we will be telling you what we'll be covering on episode 23. We'll be doing that right after this.
This is a test of the emergency podcasting system. Listen to the Psychosemantic Podcast. Politics, movies, and political movies. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, legionpodcasts.com. The Psychosemantic Podcast.
And you've been listening to Doing the Nasty Podcast. This has been season number 2, episode 22. We have been looking at Inseminoid from 1981, and we also took a little look at The Last Hunter from 1980. In 2 weeks' time, in a couple of weeks' time, because we're technically one episode behind where we should be for the end of the year, but I'm sure we can claw it back before the end of the year. We're going to be doing a double bill of movies that I know nothing about at all. So these are two, like, have never seen, have never watched, know nothing about movies. The first one is Home Sweet Home from 1981. This is directed by Nettie Pena. I don't know who that is at all. It has a couple of familiar faces in the cast, but the synopsis for this one is: an escaped mental patient steals a station wagon and makes his way to the Bradley's Thanksgiving celebration. Shit, we should have done that this month.
Damn it.
Where he plans to make them a little less thankful. That's a great synopsis. So it's a slasher movie. So that's one of them. Doesn't hold a particularly high rating on IMDb, a 3.6 out of 10. We will be doubling up with Mad Foxes, another movie that I know nothing about, directed by Paul Gros. That's his name. This one here looks foreign, potentially Italian. Maybe not Italian, actually. Spanish, possibly. Now that I'm looking at a Spanish, Los is a Spanish one. So, from 1981. Synopsis for this one: A man seeks revenge after a biker gang murders his family. Full stop.
Dope.
That's
All right. Well.
So, dude, we are in slasher and full-on exploitation territory. I will say this: the thing that makes me want to watch this as much as possible is the top review on IMDb's title says properly the stupidest movie ever made. A laugh riot.
Nice.
So I am down to clown on Mad Foxes. So yeah, that's where we're going in a couple of weeks' time. Home Sweet Home and Mad Foxes. Mark, assuming that you don't succumb to something else in the interim, where can people check out the stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, assuming I don't get like the fucking Black Plague or fucking HIV or something in the next fucking month or something. Yeah, you can find me on the Twitter and the Instagram. That's at the Fancy Mark. If you are trying to track down like easy to get to copies of these movies, I am on YouTube. That's Fancy Space Mark. It's not the one with the anime avatar for the profile pic. I'm the one with the Leatherface as the profile pic. YouTube's awesome and lets people have the same usernames for some stupid fucking reason. Home Sweet Home, that's one of those movies, right? I do believe that is in the if you find me on YouTube, I have a playlist called Video Nasties 3, and it's got as many of these that I can track down. Both, like I said, both the movies from this episode are in there. I'll have to see if I can track down Mad Foxes and see if that's somewhere on floating around in the YouTubes, but Home Sweet Home is on that list. So if you want to do a little bit of homework and watch along with us before the episode comes out, that's where you can find that. Find me on the Letterboxd. I think that's Fancy_Mark. You can see all the movies that I didn't watch while I was in fucking quarantine, except for Seven Samurai and The Crow and Crow City of Angels. That episode about The Crow that I did with Darren a couple days ago, that should be on the Legion Patreon feed here coming up. I also did a pretty fun episode of Bo's show, The Dark Parade, about Night of the Demons that came out last month. That was a fucking blast to record. I think that's about it. Take care of yourselves out there. For God's sake, fucking be careful, because clearly these vaccines are not 100% effective, and I just spent 2 weeks of my life basically staring at the fucking walls for no good reason at all. I think that's about it.
Nice. Well, ladies and gents, we'll be back with more nasty content for your listening pleasure and our viewing displeasure, because that's how that rolls. Until the next time we speak to you, please take care out there, and for myself and Mark Ball, we'll speak to you next time.
They were called Nasties, and they were nasty.
Some of the things that we've seen are so horrific.
These films not only affect young people, but I believe they affect adults as well.
An extravaganza of gory violence capable of depraving and corrupting those who watched it.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't. I actually don't need to see what I know is in that film.